Hello everyone, I'm Yana from Sydney Visa. For over 20 years, we have been successfully helping people from all around the world make Australia their home. In this video, I would like to talk to you about 3 popular pathways for skilled professionals to migrate to Australia. We're going to talk about visas 189, 190 and 491. I'm going to explain the similarities and differences between these visas and will help you explore which pathway fits you best. Let's define these visas first. 189 is an independent permanent visa, and I will refer to it as independent visa. 190 is a permanent state-nominated visa. I'll just refer to it as state-nominated. And 491 is a temporary visa nominated by the Australian government, by the Australian region, and I'll refer to it as regional visa. The eligibility criteria for these visas are quite similar. You need to be between 18 and 44 years old, have at least competent English, which is equivalent to scoring a 6 in each section of IELTS, and your occupation must be on the relevant skill occupation list with an official skill assessment. You will also need to meet the point test minimum, which is set at 65 points. Now, let's take a closer look at each visa. The independent visa is the simplest pathway if you meet the requirements. As the name suggests, you don't need sponsorship or nomination from a state or region. It's quite straightforward. If you have enough points, this can be the fastest way to permanent residency in Australia. All you need to do is to obtain a skill assessment, get an English test certificate, and you can then just register your interest in Skills Select. Then you wait for the invitation to apply for the independent visa. Once the invitation is granted, you apply for the visa, wait for its issue, and come to Australia as a permanent resident. Sounds simple enough. However, there are a couple of challenges. Before we continue, can we kindly ask you to subscribe to our channel? Your support helps keep us motivated to create more valuable and informative content, and it also ensures you never miss an important update on Australian immigration. So back to the challenges. So first of all, not all occupations are eligible for this visa. Only occupations within the medium and long-term strategic list are eligible for this visa. If you look at the occupation list, as I'll leave the link in the description, and find that there is an abbreviation MLTSSL next to your occupation, then that means you are eligible for 189 visa. Secondly, most applicants with higher points are invited for this visa. So even though the minimum point requirements is 65, for many competitive professions like accountants and IT specialists, you are likely to need at least 90 points or more to get an invitation. That said, if your occupation isn't competitive, you may still qualify with a lower score. You might never receive an invitation. It's another issue. Although this statement is true for all the skilled visas, when you apply for the independent visa, all you can do is wait. There is nothing you can actively do to increase your chances of obtaining the invitation, with possibly an exception of scoring higher at the English test. Also, Australian government have been reducing the number of places on the independent visa, for the independent visa. So more places are given to state nominated and regional visas and also employer-sponsored visas. Let's now look at the state-nominated visa. For this visa, you'll need to be nominated by an Australian state or territory. The big advantage here is that state nomination gives you an extra 5 points, which can help you a lot if you are just shy of the required score. Another benefit is that state applications are assessed by people, not automated systems like the independent visas. And the processing time can often be much quicker. The process of obtaining the visa starts similar to independent. Once your expression of interest is lodged in Skills Select, you can start searching for the nomination. This process can be tricky, and there are some catches. One is that each state has its own list of eligible occupations, which might be different from the national list. So if your job isn't on the state's list, you may face additional requirements or might not be eligible to apply for the nomination at all. Also, many states now require a job offer from an employer in the state. This doesn't mean you have to start working immediately, but it shows you are employable in the region. You will also be obligated to live in the nominating state for 2 to 3 years after arriving. This rule is now closely monitored, and if you leave the state without permission, in terms of relocate to another state, you could risk losing your residency status. The positive of the visa is that you can be active with your nomination search. For example, you can plan the state you want to relocate to in advance and strategically study in the state in order to increase your chances of obtaining the nomination in the future. As mentioned above, you can get a job offer, which can again increase your chances of obtaining the nomination, even if the job offer is not a requirement. And there are many other options that can be planned case-by-case basis. Now, let's take a look at the regional visa. This visa was introduced to encourage migration to less populated parts of Australia. Unlike the nominated visa, this one requires sponsorship by a regional area, so regional Australia. It is an excellent option for candidates who need a boost in points, since regional nomination adds an extra 15 points to your score. When we talk about regional Australia, it is important to note that since November 2019, almost all areas outside Sydney, Melbourne and Brisbane are considered regional. For example, if you are nominated for regional visa by Victoria, you can live anywhere in the state except Melbourne. There are a few key things to keep in mind with this visa. Firstly, it is a temporary visa that is valid for 5 years and cannot be extended. While on this visa, you will need to live in a regional area for at least 3 years and work in this region and for those 3 years. If you meet these conditions, you'll become eligible to apply for the Permanent Visa 191. This follow-up visa doesn't have an age limit or a point test. So even if you turn 45 while holding the regional visa, you'll still be able to transition to permanent residency. The new 191 visa has just recently been properly introduced, came into effect, so to speak. We have a video on this channel outlining the key requirements for this 191 visa, and we invite you to take a look at it. This is it for today. In our next video, we'll dive deeper into the differences within these visas, including their cost, limitations, and access to social security and social benefits. Don't forget to hit the bell button and to stay updated on our latest videos. Thanks for tuning in. Cheers from Down Under. Goodbye.